So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.
What's up, friends, family, and fans? It is I, Stone Stafford, and as always, I'm rocking with the best.
Johnny Vaughn.
Yeah. And we are in part 2 with our guest, Mr. Lee Heisman.
The savant is no joke.
So being a master of none but good at all the other stuff, as I've gotten older, I've actually started to decrease the things that I wanted. You know, it's really neat to be good at all this stuff, but I start hiring people because financially, as your business grows and as you become a little more successful,
Delegation becomes easier, yes.
much easier, and I'd rather pay somebody to do something, not because I'm lazy, but because I can make 10x what I'm paying for that hour versus actually doing what I'm going to pay somebody to do with that hour. And I might participate with them for that hour just to be a part of it anyway if I like it. But start getting into your swim lane and stay in your swim lane at what you're doing, and then get really, really good at what you're doing.
Can I ask you something on the health tip? Just kind of going back to the food, because one of the things that we do connect with, and I don't know if you're still doing it, I'm a big intermittent faster.
Been doing it for 7 years before it got popular.
7 years
before
now.
it got popular.
So, I mean, so people who don't know what it is, I don't know which model you use. Mine is the 16-8, 24-0,
Very common.
16-8, and then back down.
Wait, you change it up? Explain that again?
So it'll be 8, 16.
And for listeners, what does that mean, 8, 16?
The hours of the day. So let's break it down, and you got 24 hours in a day. So do your math in that way. 8 plus 16.
So you start
For
eating
8
around
hours of the
12
day, you
o'clock,
eat.
and you stop eating
and then
around
I stop
8 p.m.
eating at 8 p.m.
Yeah,
So I
16
have
hours you
that
don't
window
eat.
to eat, and then the 16 hours of no eating. And then every 5th day, it's a full 24 hours.
You'll do a
of no
full
eating.
24?
Yeah, I go full 24.
And for those that might freak out on the 16 hours where you're not eating, usually 7 to 8 of those you're asleep. So it's not as bad as
I'll be
it
honest.
sounds.
And I mean, when you first start, the sleeping is really uncomfortable when you're hungry. That's just
But that's where you drop your most weight.
absolutely.
You wake up in the morning, you're like, I'm going to stay
Yeah,
naked.
man.
I'm
Yeah.
going to stay naked while I'm on the house because I'm
exactly.
getting looking lean.
Yep.
But I mean, I've heard you talk about your process and how it works into just your day and how you work it with just the fasting aspect, autophagy in general, and
I was
how
going
all
to go
that.
into autophagy. You're
let's-
exactly right.
I'm going to hand it over to you. Rock out.
Whoa, oh my gosh. Okay, so intermittent fasting I've been doing well before it got popular. And I pride myself on doing things that are, more bleeding, cutting edge, just tip of the spear, right? And with respect, Atlanta's a great town. I love living here. I tend to go to the West Coast a lot, and I get an opportunity to train with very seasoned individuals that are the leaders in the world, not just in the nation. Good friends. I'm not sure if you came to the sleep doctor event.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Bruce, a top leading sleep doctor in the entire country. Every other month he's on Dr. Oz, Oprah. He's out of L.A.
New name sounded familiar, right on.
So he's out of L.A. He came out and keynoted for me as a friend, and I met him a while ago. So sleep being one of your most important superpowers, of course. But let's just jump in real quick. People say intermittent fasting. If you just think you're going to start eating at 12 and stop eating at 8 and not eat the right kind of foods, you are setting yourself up for failure. So a pre-warning for somebody out there who says, I've never done this, but I'd love to do it. Don't do it without getting all of your background and your plan. It must be a strategy. So please be clear. When I started it, and here's a failure. I'm pretty much a pro of this stuff. When I started 7 years ago, I put on 15 pounds.
When you started it,
When
you
I started
gained
it,
weight.
do you know why? Because I did it wrong. I started eating at 12 and I stopped eating at 8. But during that feeding time, 12 to 8, it was on.
Oh, you went in. Yeah.
It was on, and I
Yeah.
thought, well, you know what? This is my window. I can eat whatever I want to eat whenever I
Yeah.
want to eat it. I'm talking burgers, fries, everything, but it's my feeding window, and then I'm going to go off. And the reality is, it was probably most. Now, be clear, intermittent's popular the past few years. I'm talking cutting edge is when I'm like, hey, let me start getting into this, and I did it completely wrong.
Yeah.
So it is a highly advanced move.
Yes.
You wouldn't try to do an advanced move unless you went through some basics first.
Absolutely.
So I'm actually dissuading people who are listening to say, I'm just going to start it tomorrow. Let me just do that. You got to dial in your nutrition and your diet.
Absolutely.
And the simple basic things that you know of, which is processed sugars, processed food. I've gone everything. I did vegan for a whole year.
You made it a year doing
One
it.
whole year. Let me share. My wife is an integrative nutritionist, so it helps that we can cook meals that taste like I had the most amazing cashew lasagna with no milk, no dairy, but it's made with cashews.
Wow.
Right, the cream is delicious.
Yeah.
We did 1 year, and I will call it whole food plant based.
Okay.
It was vegan, but as a vegan, you can eat Oreos and chips and still be considered vegan because there's no dairy in there.
Right.
So we did what's called whole food plant-based. We ate whole food, real food. Didn't do any of the supplemental stuff.
Okay.
Just wanted to try it. You get the vegan or the vegetarian high for a few months, but I've learned over time it isn't the most healthy nutrition and diet to do. It's quite opposite of that.
Right.
So let me tell you something. You talk about politics, you talk about food. Food and the eating is equally as polarizing as politics.
Absolutely.
I will tell you right
Yeah.
now.
And I mean, a lot of it is based on because what will work for your body doesn't necessarily work for mine.
Precisely.
One of the big things that he and I got into is when I was talking about Chad Ochocinco, or Chad Johnson.
yeah.
If you don't
Of
know who that
course.
is, legendary wide receiver in the NFL. Ate McDonald's every single day.
amazing.
And people did not understand how he could stay in that type of shape. And they thought he was just making it up. And they had cameras following him around for like a month.
Amazing.
And every day he had McDonald's twice a day. Lamar Odom, when he was still in the NBA, same thing. His locker was filled to the brim with
Amazing.
candy. And people couldn't comprehend it. But at the same time, there's a level of control and moderation. Like with me, even when you hear me say, yeah, I'll drink 2-liter sodas a day, or I'll eat 4 Snickers in a day, I know how much sugar's in each. I know how much water it takes to counteract and flush that. And then I know how much I need to work out to burn it, which I do. So it's not me just saying I'm eating all of this crap and then I go
And it's
to
also
sleep
the time of the day.
So it's the time
so,
of the day
you
as
know,
well.
and that's where,
Exactly.
you know, you can have a little more earlier in the day. And if you can, here's a simple advice if you're listening to this, is minimize your dinner meals. Okay, eat what you want to eat throughout the day because you're burning it.
Yep.
And if you can stop eating by 6, 7,
6,
8
7
o'clock at
o'clock.
night,
Yep.
but also have a light meal, a quality meal with a protein and a vegetable. You're not going to go snacking through the evening. You're going to go to sleep a little hungry. Like you're going to be good, but if you can get to sleep by 10 or 11, but that's a whole nother piece because you got to turn your blue light off before you go to sleep. So your body.
Yep.
This is an equation. This is a whole podcast in itself.
Yes,
this is
it
an
is.
equation upon itself. Let me also share what's most important about health and wellness. So forget the way that you look. And everybody's like, well, I don't want to forget the way I look. The way you look is going to be a byproduct of this. The
thank
reason
you.
I do all of this is for autophagy. You heard Johnny say autophagy. If you're listening to this, on autophagy, I'm going to give you a great example. Growing up, do you remember the mitochondria?
Yes.
Like, the building blocks.
Powerhouse of the sun.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
right. So your mitochondria, as you get old and decrepit like myself, right, they start breaking down. It's like a used car, but it's like a used car.
Sure.
So right now I go pick out a Ferrari, brand new Ferrari, and then I go get a 1975 Gremlin, right? They're both going
Oh
to
my
take
gosh,
me
the
from
Gremlin.
point A to point B, correct?
Right.
They're
Yeah.
both going to take me. The Ferrari's going to be a smoother drive. It's going to be performance-based. It's going to be more efficient when it gets there. The Gremlin will probably still get me there, but it's going to be bumpy.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to put much more gas into it because it's not going to be efficient. So it's just not functioning as efficiently. That's what happens to your mitochondria at a cellular level, because this is what matters, guys. Forget what we look like. At a cellular level, as you get older, your mitochondria get broken. They're like a used car. So when you can put your body in challenging circumstances, because I ice bathe 5 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a machine that makes 300 pounds of ice.
Yeah, it's this
It's a
whole-
whole nother.
yeah.
Listen,
You
that's a
gotta-
side
well, I
topic.
can
but
invite you,
I
but
get
you
into
can
a
invite
sauna, 200-degree sauna for 15 minutes. I
Right
jump
on.
into a 32-degree ice bath for 3 minutes. I go back and forth 3 times. That's a whole nother topic, but that's part of autophagy. So, and that's part of when you fast, you're creating autophagy. So let me give you a very low-hanging fruit example. You ever heard about cold showers?
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
make sure you take a cold shower. Nobody really understands why. And I've had the fortune of spending time. There's leaders in the world, Laird Hamilton, Gabrielle Reese out on the West Coast, and Wim Hof, the Iceman. I had the fortune of spending 3 days at their house training with all of their work. That's what you were doing underwater.
Yeah.
We did the ice bathing and all of that. So let me just give an example of what autophagy is. The mitochondria are cells. They don't think, guys. They don't go, oh, look, it's a little bit hot. Let me do this a little cold. They're just action, reactions, safety, fire, get out of here. I touched the hot pan. My hand pulls off the pan. You didn't even know that you did it, right? That's your mitochondria firing. That's all they are. So if I were to say to you, okay, I need you to jump into an ice cold shower right now. Okay, we're going to turn the water on. What's going to happen is your body, right now you're in the shower, you didn't know I was going to put on ice cold, and I turned ice cold water on you right now, what would you do?
I'm the wrong person to ask because I do this all the time.
Okay, if you were,
But
if you
it
were
goes
not,
you get shocked into like a fight or flight mode.
It's a jump
your
shot,
body's
and
gonna
then
jump out.
you're going to jump
Yeah.
out.
you can jump out of it, right?
Yeah.
But if I said to you, listen, this is important because you need to compromise your body.
Right.
Because you know what happens when you compromise your body and you stay through it? Those broken gremlins, mitochondria cells,
They build a new baseline.
They die off. They
Yeah.
die off, actually. When
Well,
they
that-
die
okay,
off,
right, that's
When
right.
they die off, your body produces new mitochondria.
the new ones, and the new
brand
ones have
ones.
the new ones have the higher baseline.
They're like the Ferrari coming out.
Exactly.
So the cold shower is easy because I can tell you, listen, when you get in a cold shower, you start hyperventilating.
Yeah, you do.
You do.
Yeah,
and
man.
the reality is, if I said, look, I need you to sit in there for 1 or 2 minutes, you know you're not going to die.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be bad, but that's your mitochondria is yelling, get out, and you have to willfully say, I'm going to stay in here. And that's the same for the sauna and everything else. And that ultimately, guys, with respect to wellness, health, body, forget what you look like. And you've joked about Quato and the abs coming out. But I will tell Quato, it's Quaid, open your mind.
Maybe that's the title.
That's what
Maybe
he
that's
used
the
to
title.
say.
Quato.
Just call it Quato.
Quato. But what matters most is all of this, what I'm speaking of, gives me what I focus on is brain health.
Yes.
I want to provide myself the quality so I'm sharp as a tack. People that I work with know, hey, when you bring something to me, let's be as sharp and efficient as we can. but you can't do that if you're not fueling yourself. So the body's a byproduct. The cellular level is the most important piece. So guys, most importantly, ending thing is try to end your dinners early. Don't eat late at night.
Yep.
Don't eat within an hour or two, like high level. Don't eat within an hour or two by the time you go to bed. Obviously minimize your processed sugars if you can help it. And you know what? If you're going to minimize your carbohydrate, or the refined carbohydrates, breads, things of that nature, then you increase your fat content.
Yes.
Because fat is more there's much more satiety. You're satiated at that time. And that's kind of a key ingredient. But again, a warning, big disclaimer. If you're increasing your fat content, quality extra virgin olive oils, avocados, nuts, and you're also eating breads, you're going to balloon up.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is such a fine line and
It
a
really
tightrope
is.
walk.
It really
you
is.
have to, please don't walk away from this if you're listening and say, I'm going to go do this. It is very complex and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you finish. I'm going to shift gears a little bit and
Please.
ask you some stuff around an earlier conversation we had, and I think it all kind of intertwines. Knowing the basis of how to get something to a certain point. And this is going back to your businesses and all 15,000 of them that are still in existence right now, that are all profitable. How do you
be clear? No, that's a really good point. I have to comment. I have to interject. So say currently today I have 8 very successful and profitable businesses. I probably got 20 that didn't do great.
Yeah.
So be clear. There's been
Yeah,
a lot of
right.
failures out there. More failures than successes. I
Absolutely.
just want to emphasize. So it's a really
Absolutely.
good point.
No, this question is simple. Your body changes. So when we're talking about all these health things, at a certain age, your body doesn't reproduce the cells as fast as it used to. The mitochondria don't die off as fast as they used to, and doesn't reproduce as fast. So you have to know when and where to make those adjustments, how to exit the old way of treating your body and entering a new way. Same thing with business, same thing in entertainment. When you've built something that's good, it comes to a point to where it plateaus and it starts to stagnate. And that exit strategy and learning when to shift gears into that new plan becomes the most important thing. One, how do you recognize that? And you can relate this to body physiology or business. How do you recognize it? And then how do you build a plan, that exit strategy plan, to move into that next stage?
That's really funny. So one of my businesses is called ESL Advisors. We're actually an M&A firm. So we represent about 15 clients currently that are trying to sell their businesses. It's because I've gone through a number of exits, and my partner, Ted Jenkin, you haven't met Ted yet,
Okay.
but Ted is a powerhouse. Actually was, and I
Ted.
you
Yeah,
know Ted,
yeah.
he was actually nominated, or not nominated, he is one of the 500 most powerful people in Atlanta. He sends me a text the other day and says, or maybe like a month ago, and says, hey, check this out, I made this list. And it's not a pay to play. It's a real list that you have to be authenticated on. I open up the list, Arthur Blank, Bernie Marcus, CEO of Coke, CEO of Porsche. Oh, my buddy Ted on there, my partner Ted. Oh, you made it. Well done, brother. That's why I stick around people like that. But we have a business not only where, as you said, I've done my exits, but I'm also consulting people and helping them exit. So I know this answer inside and out, just not from my perspective, but from others. Number one, that's the hardest thing to do. So to answer your question, this is people's life, their blood, their breath. This is, I mean, it's almost more than themselves. Their business almost consumes them more than their own persona. So when it's time to exit, it's either one of two things. And I'm for listeners out there that have businesses that are thinking, I want to grow it and exit it. Number one, if you're burnt out and it's stagnating, pardon me, that'd be the wrong time to sell it, because it's not going to be purchased for the maximum value. You're going to lose that enterprise value of the business. And that's what we consult with all the time. It's a very weird dichotomy, because you're going to make the most money on a business. And it might not have been the exact question, but you're going to make the most money when you sell your business as it's thriving and growing.
Yeah.
Which is, you're like, well, I don't want to sell it. Well, that's where your lifestyle decides where, and your family and what your mindset decides.
Right.
At the same time, if you are burnt out, and you're right, and that's another piece of your question, that if you realize you're burnt out, then you need to bring a new set, fresh of eyes. That's where you need to bring a new, fresh set of eyes in, whether it be a consultant to say, what do I do with my business next, or do I sell it? So you can still sell a business and exit it. You might not get maximum enterprise value if it's valuable, but it's kind of stagnant. But that would be the wrong time to get, I mean, if you spent 10, 15 years, this is where that circle of people around you matters so much. Let's just pretend I am part of your circle, and you wanted to sell a business and it was stagnant, Johnny, for example. And I say, Johnny, man, you've had this now for 3 years. I understand it. Let's help you sell it, because you are burnt and you're not enjoying it. You've had this for 10 or 15 years. Wait a minute, you put your heart and soul into this. Don't sell this now, man. You just got to re-energize yourself in some way. So there's a lot of variables that I would provide guidance with a friend with. If it was a year or two old and he's like, I'm just not into this anymore, this isn't good for me, that makes sense.
How do we attack the emotional aspect of it? Because us in general. I'm not. I'm a very detached human being, and I get yelled at by everybody from family to friends and say, you're just too nonchalant. You don't seem like you care about anything. It's not that. I care deeply.
No, you internalize it.
Yeah, it's internal, but I also know how to flip that light switch off. And I know a lot of people don't. Like, how do you walk people through that process of if you're ingrained in it, if it's your life's blood,
Sure.
if it's been giving you your purpose, your why, your reason every single day, how do you actually get them out of that to start looking
first
at it
off,
from a
you're-
30,000 foot view as opposed to being
in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, you referenced another Trading Places line. So we did talk earlier about that. And when Eddie was in the jail cell, I bruised on the inside.
On the inside.
When you were saying that, I'm thinking of that scene immediately where
He was not lying, dude. He's
Right.
got more than we do. I think he's got more movie lines.
No.
than we do.
You were saying it, and you're like, I keep it on the inside. I don't think Eddie Murphy keep it on the inside. Like bruised on the inside. Reggie Hammond on the third floor. Yelling down the hallway when those guys lift him up.
I'm giving you a pass on the lyrics to the song at the beginning.
we gotta get
of
him
the
with
first
Ian.
part of this. Yeah,
We gotta get him with Ian.
We'll see.
But remember,
Ian's
like
the
he's
movie
bumping
master.
against, he's up
Yeah.
against the
Yeah.
fence. On the third floor,
Yeah.
cell 2B.
Yeah.
Reggie? Yeah, me.
Yeah,
He's
me.
like, we're going to check you out.
I gotta go watch that today.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Trading Places was
Oh, yeah.
spectacular. So, sorry.
Good.
So I'm just shooting from the hip again.
Yep.
I'm just going to be very frank about it. You're too deep in the middle of it. You're never going to get out yourself. So I'm sorry to be negative. There's no hope. You're not going to get out of it yourself. That's why the surrounding yourself, whether you have a group of individuals that already can help you through this, and most likely, to be frank with you, you don't at that moment. Because if you're already in that spot, you're in that spot because you've accessed all your resources of people and they've given you everything they can give you. And that's where you got to bring a third party in. So whether you create, as you said, you friend up and find other individuals, because you decided, Stone, hey, I'm going to go friend up because my business is here and I need to be around people that are going to help me grow it. We talk about the Oxford Center, Cliff, good friend of ours. Every time I leave that event, and I think, Johnny, there ain't many things that I can't solve myself because, again, the decrepit old age that I have, tons of failure and experience. I rarely run into something where, again, I've got multiple businesses where people are, hey, just call me when there's a problem. Call me all day, my staff. Call me all day because I will tell you I have an answer or a direction. I might not have the answer, but I know, do this, do that, because my perspective of where someone's looking at it. Every time I go to an Oxford event down at the Porsche Center, there's 50, 60 people in there flying in for this event, leaders in their community, right?
Literally, yeah.
The owner of Louisville Slugger, the baseball back, his grandson is there, right?
Right
Like
on.
people come in from out of state all the time, and I walk away from. Remember the woman that was in recently? She was the owner of Slutty Vegan. She is extraordinary. She came out.
Yeah,
she's but her. She was very raw, very open, but talked about the growth of her organization. Just came in as a small speaker. And it's funny, she's like, I don't know the room here. And I'm thinking, this room's the net worth of the people. And most people in those rooms, their business. One guy's like, well, I was going to sell for $100 million.
Right, yeah.
My business, I'm across 7 states. My business is $300
like the
million
1%
of
of the
revenue.
1%ers.
No. So the room, when I speak of this to whoever's listening here, the room is full of superstars. And I sit in it, and it's bittersweet. And I have to comment because I'm in it like, oh, I'm inspired. Oh, this guy's amazing. That guy's amazing. I get to contribute and participate. And then I walk away. And although I have 8 businesses and I'm doing a billion things, I walk away going, man, you ain't doing nothing. What's wrong with you? And that's me questioning myself. So when I know if I have an issue that is beyond my personal scope, I have resources that have done it 10 times over. That goes back to your question. If you're a business owner or you're in a business where you are running into a scenario where you're like, man, I'm just stuck flat, you're not going to get out of it by yourself. That's the whole point of, that's why COVID was so bad in our world, because we isolated. We didn't get around other human beings, right? I've never isolated as much as I can help, thank you to this state being open, allowing us to do what we want to do. Right. But if you don't lean into and lean on friends, associates, and like I said, your current circle may not suffice for that, but you have to find another circle. I want to make one important comment. My wife, and I'm not being nice, she'll never listen because she doesn't listen to me at all. She has to listen to me all the time, so she'll never listen to this. But
After we all go to dinner, and then I'll be
right,
like,
you're gonna
make sure you listen to the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. But I will tell you, she is the matriarch of the family, and what I mean by that is she has the biggest heart, biggest emotion. And like you, I can cut that off. I can be very businessy, but I have the best when it comes to the emotional and familial side. Although I raised 2 daughters by myself, I am far from a superstar emotionally. I'm still a guy, right? I'm still a guy trying to do what I do.
Right.
I lean into her and her family because they're the experts in the big hearts. Do you see where I'm coming from? So if you're in a business world and you're kind of stuck, like I'm stuck right now, then you need help. So you have to go elsewhere, whether it be associates, friending up, or even hiring. I'd watch the hiring thing. Just watch out for that because money can start spilling out left and right.
Oh boy, what?
So I'm not a giant fan of hiring big time consultants.
Yeah.
I'm more of a fan of through references or listening to podcasts like
I'm going to
this.
throw this out real quick because I see this mistake happen a lot. In the industry that I work in, producing the shows that I produce, I work with a lot of speakers, and it's a sales pitch, most of them. And a lot of small business owners go to these things and they buy into these new systems, and then they blow their entire marketing budget on this guru, and then now they can't do anything else. Please pay attention to that aspect of who you're hiring and what you're hiring for. If it's not for a very specific reason, and not knowing what to do is a very specific reason, then you get someone who can consult with you and talk to you about how to figure out what that path should be, and then building a plan to follow that plan directly. But if it's just someone who's saying, I'm going to guide your company, which is what I see literally on a weekly basis, you're going to burn yourself up before you even get started with that individual, and then you're going to find yourself at ground zero wondering where you made the mistake, and the mistake was blowing the money on
Well, and it's also, don't get lazy. And what I mean by that is, and I'm going to roll back to what you said, and Johnny said it earlier, if you think I can just hire, by the way, if you're having a struggle in anything in your life, if it's work, personal, friendships, marriage, employees, clients, if you think you can get a quick fix, I'm going to say it again, if you think you can get a quick fix, you are going up the wrong alley. There is no question that there is no quick fix in life. Think of your scenario, Johnny, because those people that hire the person, you as the owner or a business owner that wants that assistance help has to be a part of the journey so that you trust the person that you're eventually going to hand the reins to. Johnny was in Chicago doing what he does, and he didn't even know about these medical pieces of equipment. And what'd you do, Johnny? Did you go call medical people to go do it, or did you do it yourself?
Couldn't. I had to do it myself. I literally had to spend time to do it myself. Once they didn't
While
have time to
doing
send
your
someone.
other job.
Well, exactly. While
And
running.
this is exactly what you're talking about,
Yes.
because what if you just hired someone to do it and it never worked out?
and then it didn't work out. Then I'm out of the money, and it still didn't work.
That's exactly right.
And that's just, so one of my skill sets, and this is again knowing who you are and what you're good at. Learning is a part of what I'm good at. If I need to know how to do something, I don't know what it. Maybe I just attract it to me, and the light bulb just happens to go off. 90% of the time, I can figure out how to do it. And again, I don't work in the medical field. Never have. The closest I got to it was helping my wife through nursing school before she dropped out, after the first year. And some of that stuff stuck, but I mean, not nearly to the effect of me having to learn processes and technology and then teach someone else. But that was the only option, because if I would have tried to hire somebody, how expensive would that have been?
So I'm going to argue it wasn't the only option. You had many options.
I had many options.
So
Absolutely.
I want to be
Absolutely.
clear, and just
Yes.
you see, you're so humble. But I'm saying you're humble. Stone's so humble. Think of what Johnny said. Well, that was the only option. I had to jump in. BS. You could have tried to hire somebody. You could have said, you know what, that's not part of my job. I'm just going to sit here and do the sound,
Right.
and I'm not going to touch it.
Right.
You had literally, I think, 4 or 5 very easy push-aways. And remember, I talk about lazy.
Yes.
By the way, human nature, the path of least resistance is
Always.
always the
That's how
direction.
the
It's like
brain's
where
wired.
water wants to flow.
Yeah.
You have to fight against that, because you could have easily chosen 4 different paths where you broke the wrist and walked away, and you said, hey, you know what? It's not my responsibility, but you're kind of ultimately there responsible for everything.
Absolutely.
And you could have made a case for yourself to be lazy and find the short way out. You want to get anywhere in life, I'll tell you right now, look, I have, even though I own businesses, I still report to, in some of my businesses, I report to equity shareholders. So if even though I could easily point a finger and make an excuse, but when I go above and beyond, the people that I might report to in certain scenarios with equity shareholders in a public company that I'm doing work for, they look and go, well, look at that. You went above
Right.
and beyond. So if you just take the path of least resistance, you are going to get nowhere in life very, very quickly.
And that's our episode on how to make yourself invaluable. We cover so much in this freaking podcast, it amazes me,
Yeah,
because
you had
we're
one, you had
always
one.
referring to another episode for something.
Yeah.
2 things I heard when you guys were talking that stick out to me. The underlying theme I see keeps recurring or reoccurring, whatever it is basically swimming. Learn how to swim upstream. At the end of the day, don't look for the path of least resistance. Change hurts. Change is uncomfortable. That is a recurring theme throughout this entire time we've been dialoguing. Second is a good friend of ours who's in health, right? He made a comment to me. He wants to go ahead and put more exposure to himself. He said, but yeah, man, I don't want to use other people. See, I want to do it myself. And there's no such thing. no man's an island.
Very funny. When you mimicked him, I know who you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. We were born for community. You literally are not on this earth for yourself. Whatever it is that you do is quite literally for someone else. And in the marketplace, that's absolutely important. And because you said, especially when you're trying to sell your business, it's important to get outside of people and ask for help, which is the biggest issue. And I love how you started breaking down stuff, whether it's in your family, in your business, mentally, whatever it is. Ask for help. And my wife and I were just talking about a story where I literally almost drowned in Lake Lanier. And people say, almost drowned, meaning like, I was struggling. When I say Stone wasn't here, I literally almost drowned in Lake Lanier. And the sad thing about it is my friend Jessica, you remember Jessica? Mm-hmm. She was only 10 feet from me on a paddleboard. And then the family was only another 30 feet on shore. And what happened was I was on a paddleboard, fell off, didn't have my life jacket on. I said, I'll just get back on the paddleboard. I didn't understand how difficult it was to get back onto a paddleboard. Yeah,
but you're an amazing swimmer. Was this before you were a great swimmer?
And like you told me too, but as you told me too, I'm also muscular. Yeah. So I can tread water but for so long. And so I had my, the little anklet thing was tied to my ankle for the paddleboard. I was kind of getting tangled in that, and I'm treading and I am getting tired. And I kept trying to get on the paddleboard and it kept flipping over. Oh my God. Come my third effort, this is what I told you before, I would go under for 5 seconds to rest. Gosh. So I went under just to rest my muscles, came back up, tried to get on again. And Jessica said, because obviously she saw something going on, she said, "Are you okay?" What did I say, stupid? Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, gosh.
I said, yeah, I'm good. And in my brain, I was like, if I don't get on this paddleboard on this last effort, I'm not coming back up. That's how tired I was. I was so tired where I was treading and the water was underneath my bottom lip. So I'm struggling to keep my head above. When I talk about gave it everything I had, it literally was a do or die moment. Again, we talk about throwing terms around lightly. In every meaning of that word, it was a do or die moment. And so I said, if I don't get on this paddleboard, I'm done. And I got up on that thing and I did I did my best to make it not tip, which engaged my core. Sure. I have the weakest core known to man. But anyway, long story short, I got up on there and I was so tired. She asked me something. I literally didn't have the breath to answer her. I just laid on the board. Wow. And in my mind, I was like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Because I already knew that right at that moment, I was either going to be on the paddleboard or I was going to be under. And no one would have really noticed that I was under. Right. Mm-hmm. So my point is, all of that could have been avoided if I asked for help. And I just wouldn't ask for help. So people ask for help. Period.
And a weird thing I'll share with you, and I've learned this is very hard, and it's something I do as well. So, as I mentioned, at my age in the business world, and this, again, I hate to say this, it's as hard as me saying Lee at LeeHeisman.com. Right? I swear to you guys, I was like, I need a personal address off my all businesses, and I did Lee Heisman at iCloud, right? And I used it, but that wasn't from I own a technology firm. It wasn't really good. It didn't match on all my stuff. It was a different type of technology, not like an O365. It was an IMAP, and it just was a terrible piece of tech. When I have 6 different devices I access it, I couldn't access all my files. So it took me 2 months to battle against doing that, by the way. So when I say what I'm about to say, it's embarrassing. So in the business world, I don't run into too many scenarios at this age and with all my failures that I need that much assistance with. Or just in life, I don't necessarily need that much assistance. And what I have found, and please burn this in your mind, if I don't ask for help in certain areas, it actually builds a bond with someone when somebody helps you. It sometimes is more for that other person to help you and do for you. It actually builds that bond, and you don't want to be so self-oriented where you're like, I don't need any help. Even if you think you know it, someone might be a little better. Let someone participate. Yeah. Create that environment. So there are many times where I think I know what I'm doing, but I'll ask for help because that builds a closer bond, whether it be with a client of mine, a friend of mine, an employee of mine, because I want them to do it, them to embrace it and go, here, Lee, I did this favor for you. And you're like, I don't want to be indebted. Right. Those aren't the friends you should have anyway.
But you know what? And sometimes it isn't even help, right? Sometimes it's perspective. Sure. Precisely. It's just a different perspective on something. When they did it, like, oh, yeah, I knew how to do that, but you saw another angle.
That's multifaceted, too. I mean, for me, I'm very deliberate. I'm pretty sure you are in a lot of these situations, too, because I can tell you understand these principles way beyond what I do. But I'll do it in those situations for people who just need that confidence boost.
Exactly.
They know I know how to do it, and I'll just be like, I think it'll be better off if you do it, and I'll
That
leave it
is
to where I need you for it.
extremely altruistic of you, which is so not.
That's not the
not
case.
what?
Well, let me be careful.
What are you gonna say?
Well, this is so not externally, Johnny.
But again,
Yeah, but that's how he can play it off.
Yeah.
That's why
That's
when he
my-
does
yeah,
it, that's
right.
when he does it. It's
Exactly
so
right.
the problem, Johnny, is Stone always tells me I'm complimentary, and I am. I'm over. Again, I see something I like, I compliment it. I just take really pride in watching what people do. Like, again, I talk about the clothes thing. If someone's wearing something, I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's because I'm so bad
Stone,
about
you're
it.
looking great. Oh, and then I see the video underwater. I'm like, what is
First
he
off,
talking
underwater
about?
ain't fair. But here's the issue. Stone lost, what, 20 pounds? How much have you lost?
Yeah.
Well, now I'm at 12.
Okay,
Not quite
so
20.
when I say
Yeah.
you look stellar, you've lost a lot of weight, that's authentic. The difference is if I become very good friends with you, I will be equally as critical. You know, if I saw Stone and he, at this point,
That's
if he gave it all
valuable.
back, I'd be like, you slob.
Yeah, that's valuable, and that's valuable.
And I would come at him in a very courteous, hug him, and say, let's go get some McDonald's. Come on, you're going to do it anyway, so might as well be a part of it with you.
Exactly.
So as complimentary as I am, with respect, he's always saying I'm complimentary, and I am, but I'm also authentic. So I will always be honest and direct. Unless it's hurtful to somebody, I would not look at someone who gained weight and say you've gained weight. There's no
Right.
way. Why would I do that? That's
Right,
already
right,
tough
right,
enough
right.
as it is. So, but if it is a good friend and it's going to better them, I will bring up things to assist with them. But I always would prefer to give you some good news.
Absolutely.
But I don't mind giving you the bad news.
No, definitely. I always try to find a way to weave the bad news in a positive way. I guess I'll point it out by asking for that type of
But
assistance.
look how your EQ. Are you familiar with quotients? Your EQ is so high. Johnny's EQ. That's what you listen to Johnny's success and the level. I'm listening to what you've done, even in Chicago, and growing these businesses that you are. Your EQ, emotional quotient. For those out there, there's and I'll tell you the most important one for entrepreneurship. I don't know if you know about AQ.
Yep.
You know AQ.
I don't.
it
now, I don't
aptitude?
Is it aptitude?
Well, we're going to guess about that. But so you have intelligent quotient. You've heard, hey, somebody's
Everyone's
got
heard
IQ,
IQ.
right? The IQ is the nerd with the glasses who can just put anything together on paper and is really, really smart, and they can do great tests. EQ is emotional quotient.
Okay.
And if you're listening to this and you listen to Johnny, I'm sure, Stone, you are pretty... No, Johnny's probably a little better than you at it. No question, I've noticed.
The EQ?
The EQ.
Oh, bro.
No
Actually, I'm
question.
offending people all the time.
So, but Johnny's availability of what you just said, right? Like, hey, you know what? I know I can fix this, but I'm going to let you do it, right? That's emotional quotient. You know how to get through to someone, how to connect on many other layers.
Yeah,
To
I'm
be a
not.
successful person, I say person, not even entrepreneur or business or personal. I think it all rolls together. AQ I've found to be the most important quotient. You said it was?
Aptitude?
I have no
Attitude.
Whoa.
Is it attitude?
Look, oh my gosh.
I'm so into riddles and puddles. I literally feel victorious right
Yeah,
now.
I have no idea
I
what
do.
the A was.
So could you put the camera on him real quick? Let's do it. Look how victorious you are. Do
I
it.
do it. Ah!
Okay, keep it on him. Keep it on him. Stone, that is not it.
Oh!
I love it. I love it.
Build me up just to
Feel it
bring
and
me
then
down.
break it
Hold
down.
on. With all due respect, I did not build you up. You just ran with it.
Because the way you looked at you were like, I was like,
Yeah, because I was enjoying that. Like, so now you see why I play poker. Because I'm like, oh, I'm all in.
Give it to him.
I have pocket ace, and Stone just went all in, and I'm like, yeah.
And now he's got Sean.
you know what? This is over.
He ran
Then I
with
was
it so
kidding.
hard. All he said was this. He said attitude, and I went like this. Thinking, I can't believe you're saying that. That's a terrible answer. My
All right, whatever.
eyes
What's
were-
the
that's a
answer? What's the answer?
No, don't do it yet.
Adversity quotient. How much adversity
okay.
can you take before you quit? How much adversity can you take before you say, you know, I've had enough, I don't want to do this? Because I will guarantee you, Stone, you, Johnny, your level of success was not just, oh, I hit it the first time, I'm good.
No.
Yeah.
There's no way, absolutely no way. It's a failure. Oh,
Yeah.
shit, I want to give up, right? How high in your level of success, Johnny, that you've just had, and Stone, yours, how much adversity have you gone
We
through?
had a lot of adversity, and it took the right attitude in order to overcome that adversity. Damn it! I will not go down on my back. I will not.
It's a little A.
Yo,
to that
okay,
point.
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I just think back. Well, now anybody that's had success in certain areas, if you're listening to this and you say you want success in others, I want you to think of the adversity that you've had to overcome in the areas that you've had success. Right. It has not been easy to you. So I always say that IQ and EQ are very important to have a successful organization or business. But AQ, when you can find those individuals, including yourself, that have an elevated AQ and a very high adversity quotient, they can take a lot. You're going to muscle through a lot together.
This was the point I was waiting for when I take away something that I'm learning for the first time.
I was just going to say, that's the perfect spot actually to end it on. I mean,
we're not ending. I have more questions.
We literally can go on for a week.
I want to talk about the gun range, but I mean,
dude, we can get into. So it is true. I do own a gun range training facility.
I'm trying to figure out how we're going to divvy this up.
No, it's okay.
No, we can end it. But I'll tell you, and Johnny's too nice. Have you learned something as well?
Yeah.
I think one of the coolest parts to me was you putting your webpage out with no information.
Oh yeah,
that's what I want.
No, but I like the IQ, EQ, AQ. Actually, I love that. I'm serious.
There's always more.
I mean, this was exactly what I knew it was going to be.
Don't you want to leave it where people wanting more anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, why do you want to give everybody everything?
Right.
No, you don't.
But this was exactly what I knew it was going to be. Y'all were exactly what I knew you were going to be. So this is such a win-win. It's not even freaking funny for me. So let's rehash where people can find you, even though you're not there. Was that Lee Heisman? Go ahead, LeeHeisman.com.
Yeah, so embarrassingly enough, this is the first time I've ever publicly or digitally put this out there. As I told you, that story I told earlier was because someone just grabbed my email address, Lee at Lee Heisman, and they sent it to someone, and that person did what I would have done, which was I'm going to look up that domain.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why when I refer people to you and I send the email, I want you to put that in. But yes, LeeHeisman.com.
And Heisman is Heisman.
Just like the trophy.
There it is.
Except I think the trophy's got two. Maybe not. I'm not
no,
sure.
it has one.
That's
It
right.
has one. And any social media spots whatsoever. Even though you're
He's
not there.
already told you no.
I said even though I thought he said there was one.
No, I don't really do any social media.
So there's no social media imprint.
I personally have no social media by design
There
because
it
I'd
is.
rather connect with people personally.
No echo chambers.
I tell you where you can find Lee as well, and I was remiss to say that, or I would be remiss not to say this. So Lee is also a host on the very popular podcast Shrimp Tank.
Yes.
Now Shrimp Tank is you go ahead and tell what Shrimp Tank
Yeah,
is.
so 7 years ago, I was on the board of the KSU Entrepreneurship Center, the first school in the entire state of Georgia to get a degree in entrepreneurship, and I was a part of that process. And
Didn't Cliff help design that program? Am I off on
Cliff
that?
helped the business program,
Right,
not
okay,
the
all right.
Entrepreneurship Center.
I'm gonna clip that
No, that's
part
all
out.
right. That's
That
right.
was the Cole
Cliff's
School
great
of
with
Business,
everything.
right?
Cole School,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
started to go there.
Back then, my partner and I had opened up a podcast. 7 years ago is popular podcasting. Yes. We have 3 studios in town here in Atlanta, and we have 15 studios across the country. We have our studios that we build with our hosts out there, franchised, Los Angeles, Seattle, Houston, Boston, Boca Raton, Arkansas. Goodness, we just did Boulder, Colorado recently, and Savannah opened up as well. So it's promoting entrepreneurship. We have over 1,350 episodes. You can't shortcut that, and we get the opportunity to interview with lots of really cool people. Again, surrounding yourself in that system. The ShrimpTankPodcast.com is a cool
Now where's
place to
Shrimp
pick up.
Tank come from?
So because we were helping these entrepreneurial students, when Ted came up, I give credit to my partner who's a marketing genius, and he came up with the name. He said, well, it's not big enough for the Shark Tank, but we have all these students because all the podcast studios are near universities. Boca Raton partners with Florida Atlantic that has an entrepreneurship center. Right. Boston, up in Boston, they're at MIT. Of course, in the studios in the MIT center there. So we really like to promote it from the youth level and the entrepreneurship degrees, pardon me.
And Guppy Tank would have just been disrespectful.
Yeah. I was going to say, because you guys didn't know that shrimps were nothing but baby sharks. Johnny, what about
Just Johnny Vaughn, JUSTJONY VAN, JustJohnnyVaughn.com does not have anything on it yet, but I'm going to make a call as soon as this wraps, and we're going to fix that in 48 hours.
And of course, on Instagram, I'm Stone007, and on Twitter, Stone007. You actually can find me at StoneStafford.com, but you would think I've been out of work for like 7 years. You're like, dang, he hasn't done any speaking. But if you want everything all in one little hub, just go to LifeOnPodcast.com. We're on all social media outlets. We're on pretty much every podcast platform. And, we have our YouTube channel. You have to watch this one on YouTube for sure. It's been very animated. And you got to go see this guy. He's a mix between Andy Stanley and Kevin Costner.
Oh, that's right.
So,
you couldn't stop talking about
so now you guys have to go see who Lee Heisman looks like if you listen to this audio. As always, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. And again, we can't do it without you. Otherwise, we'd just be sitting here and listening to ourselves talk, and that can get boring after a while. So thank you so much. Make sure you share, make sure you like and subscribe, and we will be back next week. We love y'all. We are out. Peace.
So back back to what I was saying. What I was saying.